Okay, folks. So, I'd spoken before about wanting to take this knife and put some new covers on it. And I had shown a big old dry piece of, I think it's white oak. Could be red, but I think it's white. That I split down and broke down and got some chunks out of, like so. So I've been working one piece down, and I think I've got it close enough to where I want to start shaping out the scales. Nice grain right there. I'm going to try and catch some of this knot if I can. Going to be some tough detail cutting, but so here's the basic parts of the knife minus the screws and the washers, which I do not want to lose. So get your blade, your back spring, your pocket clip, and your two covers. So we will set this stuff aside so as not to lose it. I just need to pick out the washer. Where on the wood I want to work with. I'll leave a little room for sanding it to fit. Because the last thing I want to do is cut it exactly to size and then have to do some sanding. And then I've got some stepping with the back spring. There's no frame on this knife. The scales are the frame. The rough spot there I'm going to deal with. Excuse me. Okay, if I lose those, I can always mark them out again when I get the scales closer to the shape. So that'll be number one. I think that gives me some good good grain patterns. two sides won't match up. Like, I'm not going to have a knot on both sides, but I like the patterns. It gives it some uniqueness to be a little different on each side. So now I'm going to get into the tedious task, trying to cut those out. And so we won't make you watch that because that's going to take me a while. There'll probably be a fair amount of foul language involved. So we'll get back to you when I've got that almost done. Okay, so there's the scales roughed out. And you see they're still quite a bit thicker, bigger than the actual scales, but that allows me room to sand and shape and contour. And definitely got a lot of room to work with here, but I'm not going to take the wood scales down that thin. We're going to leave a little bit of room for a beefier hand. Line this up right. That is roughly how they will sit with the back spring. So, good little bit of shaping to go to thin those out enough. But that's why I left myself some extra meat to be able to do that. So I'm going to start the process of sanding and shaping, and then we'll get back to you when we have something a little more developed. my mic on here. Hopefully you can hear me well. But there's where we're at so far. This has been a struggle to work with. I had to inset the screws. It's tricky with no frame on the knife. But we're gradually getting there. Got no blade rock or anything, which is good. Still got all the snap it had before. Lots of meat removed yet, though. Oh, folks. So the project is ongoing. I'm just attempting now to do a little burn, some color, bring out the grain of the wood a bit. This was a bit of a struggle. One thing I've learned is picking a knife with no internal frame is probably not the best way to go for my first attempt at rescaling or recovering a knife. Anyways, I'm just going to burn this in a bit. I'm going to sand it down some. I'll get myself a better torch. Yeah, going with a knife with no frame was quite tricky, particularly when it came to insetting the screws. I went with much thicker handles than I came with, as you can see. So where it had no frame, it just had tubes going through for the screws to pass through. So I had to inset everything. And I would be tempted to fill those, but I don't know if I'll keep these scales on here long term. I may want to redo this, but I mean, the knife working. Oh, needs to be oiled inside. There's what we're at so far. I'm going to finish this off and then we'll get back to you. Okay, doke. So I'm done for now. I'll say up front, I'm not thrilled with the way it turned out. The oak was really nice, with the grain structure and whatnot, but with the tools I had, which isn't much as far as woodworking. I mean, you saw I had a palm sander upside down and a vise to work on. So I wasn't, I'm not thrilled with the outcome. I would have liked the scales to be a little thinner and thinner for the grip, but also so I didn't have to inset for all of the screws. So having a knife with no frame, where the scales are the frame, was not the best starting point for if I want to get into this kind of a project. But anyway, here we have it. There is some really nice grain with this wood, though. A little heavy in the burn and a few spots left to clean that up. Kept the alignment good at least. And at the easy open. I didn't set it up for a pocket clip. I mean, that thing's too thick for the pocket. Well, not too thick for the pocket, but pretty thick for a pocket clip. So it was a good learning experience, at least. Still have some snap. No blade rock, which is good. If I decided to go and leave these scales on, I will fill these holes. Just cosmetically, it would look better. And also, it's going to keep those tubes and the screws in place because they could shift with the wood. This is fairly dry wood, so it's not going to shrink. So I'm a little concerned about that. But we got some snap still. But all the snap it originally had. And so it's a working knife. I'm just not, personally, I'm fussy and a perfectionist, so I'm not 100% thrilled with it. But like I said, I did learn a few things. One thing I learned is I need a belt sander, even just a small one. So anyway, folks, yeah, there's a really nice grain on this. Like how they lined up there, pretty good. That is the project. We'll call it a modified Monday, I think. This being Monday, and hopefully I'm able to get this out this evening for you to have a look. Anybody with greater experience with this stuff than I, please give me a shout. Point out some things I could have done better, like maybe choosing an easier wood to work with limited tools. And other than that, we'll call that one complete for now. Y'all take care and have a great day.